had a government, I'm talking about the US now, that in 2000 we had an $8 trillion deficit. And today we have a $33 trillion deficit. So the deficit's grown by more than $1 trillion each year over the last 23 years. That is highly inflationary. The balance sheet of the Federal Reserve is highly inflationary. And so all these different measures are much more structural, much more difficult. So as a result of that, interest rates are going to remain higher. Opportunities for investors are going to be able to be very patient. You could do nothing and enjoy a positive return.
All right, so are you expecting a hard landing or a soft landing in the United States, or you just can't project?
We will not see a hard or a soft landing in 2024. The amount of fiscal stimulus that is just entering the economy, which is very inflationary. The CHIPS Act, the IRA, and the Infrastructure Act, about $970 billion. The largest peacetime, non-pandemic moment of fiscal stimulus. At the same time, our central bank is trying to arrest the economy. And so that's just hitting the J curve. And you see in labor settlements right now what's going on, and labor talk, 25% increases in wages. So
hi, it's Tisha Paul, and you probably recognize my face from Fox News back in the Megyn Kelly days. And I'm here now on YouTube and sometimes on TikTok, and I'm just like sharing the news with you. So we're going to talk about Larry Fink and what he has to say. But first, I want to remind you all to subscribe. It means a lot to this channel. We've gotten 1.7 million views so far and probably 40,000 subscribers. But we need to get to 100,000 so we can start giving out free gifts and free prizes to our subscribers. So help us to get to those numbers so that you could also be part of this channel, because we want to give you some money. You also get to learn money, and it is free to subscribe. So hit the free like and that free subscribe button. I'm also reminding people that today tag products are from Target, and they're all electronics. That's what we have today for Target, because someone from TikTok said to us yesterday, what about electronics? So we heard you, and so we're doing shows that are just dedicated to only electronics. So you have to be on our YouTube channel today, and you have to look at the tag products, and they're all electronics. And we will be back to tell you more about why we follow Larry Fink, who sits on $9 trillion, and what can we learn from this $9 trillion man? We're about to find out. I'm Tisha Powell. We'll be back with more. Hi, welcome back to American Television News. I'm your host, Tisha Powell, and I know you've seen my face on Fox News back in the Megyn Kelly and Bill O'Reilly days. You've seen my Newsmax with John Tobacco. I'm here now on YouTube, and I'm about to tell you why we're so obsessed with this channel with Larry Fink, and that's because he sits on $9 trillion. So do you understand that the deficit is $33 trillion? So here is a gentleman that owns BlackRock, or started BlackRock, and he was able to get his asset up to $9 trillion. That's pretty impressive. So what can we learn from Larry Fink? Well, Larry Fink is saying that we're going to be in an inflation. That was his segment on Bloomberg when he was overseas. He had to meet with all the billionaires, and they were all discussing what's going on. So he's saying that the $33 trillion make the atmosphere very inflatable. So you can't get rid of $33 trillion or have a $33 trillion debt and think that the country won't be in an inflation. That's like an oxymoron, I guess. Dun, dun, dun. So he talks about balance sheet. He says that we have to balance our sheet. We haven't balanced the budget in DC. And this is not our fault as people. This is what our government does. But we are stuck with the consequences. So you can't not have a balance sheet and think there won't be any inflation. And he says the high interest rate is going to be here for a while. Ow. We'll talk more about that in another segment. He said we also need to be patient. Yeah, people have a problem being patient. He's saying being very patient because it's going to be a tough time. You're going to make money still, but it's going to be tougher to find places. And you expect the recession to be coming. You think 2024, and he said it's going to be hard or soft. It won't matter, but it is coming. And he said those stimulus checks, remember those checks that were given away by the government in 2020, 2021, and they kept giving more money, and these socialism programs that we're creating, it is bad for us. It makes more inflation because there's more money on the road. And he said the central bank is too tight. They are tightening up, tightening up, tightening up, and they're hurting competition. And he said that there's a labor settlement coming and it's 25%. Those things mean inflation might be here to stay for a while. So, what else have we learned from Larry Fink watching that segment and just watching his shows over the years or over the months we've been doing them? What we can learn from Larry is that you need to be patient to make money, and you need to understand that timing is probably everything, and that you need to acquire assets. Larry sits on assets. He sits on probably what 80% of the S&P belongs to BlackRock. So the stock market, Larry Fink is dipped in that. He's into Bitcoin. We know that he requested an ETF for Bitcoin. And if that goes through, some people say Bitcoin will be through the roof. Gary Gensler is saying Bitcoin won't be through the roof. And Larry Fink is involved in real estate. He is Wall Street. And we know BlackRock bought up a lot of real estate. And this country is becoming a tenant country because there's a lot of real estate being bought up by corporations. And they're even squeezing people out in Florida. I'll tell you more about that in another segment. But people in Florida are being squeezed out of their condos because Wall Street came in and pushed them out. Greed, greed, greed. So Larry Fink is also in Ethereum. So we know that he went ahead and got the ETF for Ethereum, and that went up. He owns his own business. We know he started BlackRock, and he takes risk and he believes in himself. We can tell that because he's kind of predicting the market and he's confident in what he's saying. And, a lot of people listen to him. And Larry Fink is definitely very conservative. You can tell he's very conservative in the way he handles money, but he's very wise also in the way he handles money. So we can learn that you need wisdom and you need to be conservative with the way you handle money. It's believed Larry Fink is worth over $1 billion, and BlackRock is has 9 trillion in assets. It's the largest in Wall Street. So that's why we follow Larry Fink, because Larry Fink pretty much equals Wall Street. And Wall Street, as you know, it's probably the largest financial sector in the world because we're in the United States and Wall Street is where the money comes out of. And so that's why we have to follow Larry Fink, because he knows about money. So we understand money. So the first way you want to get into money is that you need to invest your money. So you might be saying, how am I going to start investing money? You have to come up with a budget. And I did something right here, if you can just see it. So that's what a budget looks like. So it's like $3,000 you're bringing in. You want to put 10% away to paying yourself. Then you want to live on the $2,700. You've got to do it this way. There's no other way to do it. Then you're going to save that $300. And when it becomes $9,000, you're going to buy yourself a home. All right, because in America, FHA, you get 3% down. The average townhome is $265,000. That's $9,000 there. Let's say you just wait 1 year. So put it into Bitcoin, mutual stocks, or